Hello, my name is Roberto Reyes. I will present factors and practices that keep the Mexican culture alive in California and Fresno. The Spanish language, along with the continued practice of traditions such as Dia de los Muertos and Cinco de Mayo, along with the growing popularity of Chicano murals, folklorico dance, and swap meets in California, continues to serve as a tool to promote acculturation rather than assimilation. Acculturation is when a person adopts traits from another culture but at the same time retains their own. Whereas assimilation, you absorb and lose who you are to become more like the dominant society. And as Mexicans become acculturated, they begin to distrust the government, which leads to political participation. The tradition of Dia de los Muertos has been a symbol of Mexico and is celebrated throughout California. Last year, over 50 cities hosted multiple Dia de los Muertos events, including 6 in Fresno. Aside from Dia de los Muertos, Cinco de Mayo is another prominent celebration. Los Angeles hosts the largest celebration at Fiesta Broadway with more than 300,000 guests. San Francisco holds a celebration that is visited by more than 10,000 guests, and Richmond holds the largest Cinco de Mayo celebration in the Bay with more than 100,000 guests. Another factor that promotes Mexican culture is through the artistic tradition of Mexican and Chicano mural art. Following the Mexican Revolution in the 1900s, Mexican artists Diego Rivera and Jose Clemente had the idea to paint in public places to remind and reteach their history to the general population, whom were mostly illiterate. This tradition was picked up by Chicano artists during the 1960s Chicano movement. Many of the murals depict civil rights activists and community heroes, as well as Mexican and indigenous images. Chicano murals found their most prominent home in California, from Los Angeles to San Francisco. There are 1,500 murals in Los Angeles and over 750 in San Francisco. Chicano Park in San Diego has the largest single concentration with over 80 murals, while in Fresno there are 60 documented murals. Folklorico is a tradition steeped in Mexico culture that has originated after Mexico's independence from Spain in search of its own identity. Yet in the US, the Chicano movement embraced Folklorico as a way to promote and recuperate Mexican identity and push back against cultural assimilation and discrimination. It was then that it gained support and approval at public schools and universities. In 2018, Central Valley high schools came together at Arte Americas to dance and show their pride, including Fresno, Roosevelt, Central, and Sanger High. In 2008, the Porterville program grew from 85 students to more than 450 in 2018. In Fresno, folklorico classes are offered each semester at Fresno State and Fresno City College and other campuses along the state. Swap meets not only play an important economic role, but also a socio-cultural role among the Mexican population of the valley. They resemble the tianguis in Mexico, which are popular markets that have existed since pre-colonial times. Today, approximately 80% of the vendors are of Mexican origin. The swap meets in California are growing in numbers and popularity, with larger ones in Los Angeles County, San Diego, and the Bay Area. The cherry auction in Fresno is the largest and oldest in the Central Valley. Others of the same period are Alma's Flea Market in Hanford and the Visalia Sale Yard, which have all been operating since the 1940s. The cherry auction is visited by more than 20,000 men, women, and children every Saturday, buying traditional Mexican commodities such as Mexican staple crops, music, boots, Mexican handcrafts, Catholic religious items, and dresses for quinceañeras. The Spanish language is what holds the Mexican culture together. It is the second most spoken language in the United States. This is due to Mexico's proximity to the United States. Along with the continuing migration of Mexican and Latin American immigrants, ultimately, since Mexicans are close to their country of origin, the Mexican culture is reinforced in California and the Central Valley. These factors promote acculturation because Mexicans retain, practice, and speak their culture while adopting traits from the dominant society, and this can be seen in politics. Acculturation has an influence on political trust because as one becomes acculturated, they become aware of discrimination and prejudice, which leads to government distrust. Yet, at the same time, it promotes political participation, whether it be demonstrations, voting, marches, or running for office. As a result, Mexican Americans or any minority group that has faced social injustices become politically active so they can make a change in their communities.